Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 302. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at by CA Simmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. Christian, how's it going? Where are you?
It's going great. I am in the great state of Ireland, having a good time. Hey, funny thing happened for us was we've known for several months that I was going to do this trip, and we've even made plans for the post-game podcast. Never considered that we still had to do a podcast during the week. Even did our post-game podcast on Saturday, and we're like, we'll see y'all for the midweek podcast. Even when we said that, did not consider that I was going to be on another continent for that. But hey, we made it work. Here we are. Hello.
I think you brought it up first. Like, I don't know, it was a few minutes after we finished because we said something about this week's podcast, and you're like, wait a minute. And if you hadn't said that, I really wonder how long it would have gone. Like, I don't know if I would have realized it until I started thinking about the podcast for the week, which normally is like, with the Bucks playing on Sundays, usually I don't think about it until Sunday night or Monday. And so I probably wouldn't have thought about it until you were actively in Ireland. So I'm glad you
I think it was a confluence of a couple of unfortunate events. One was I was like, I'm a stressful traveler. Like, I am just stressed about the concept of traveling in general. So I was very focused on just like less what will happen once I'm in Ireland and more just the process of getting there. And also, I don't think there's ever been a podcast we've had less interest in doing than this one because It's the preview of UCF just getting absolutely annihilated on Saturday. For those of you listening who either don't follow larger college football or are just forever hopeful, fellas, not winning this game. not even worth discussing the notion that UCF might win this game. It is going to be a bloodbath. So yeah, I think just all those things together kind of made me want to black out that this podcast was a thing for my brain. But here we are. We got it done.
The other funny thing was, well, we think we got it done. You know, we got to make sure the thing gets posted. And
declaring that 2 minutes in was probably a mistake. Yeah, but no, we're good. We're fine. I feel no issues will occur from me doing this for another country, so we should be good.
There was the other thing where once we discussed, we have a podcast to do this week. You were like, oh yeah, do you think we can get like Brian to fill in for that one too? And I was like, yeah, sure. I leave your apartment a little while later. I go to the UCF basketball game against Vanderbilt, and then you text me. I think you were like on your way to the airport already, and you were like,
I was on the plane.
You're like, I'm good to do the podcast. I was like, how? And your only response was just technology or something like that. And I wasn't happy. But
I could tell that you weren't thrilled with my response, but I also wasn't thrilled with your question because when I said, I'm going to go ahead and do it, and you were like, how? I was like, what do you want me to, I'm going to conjure a spell? Like, because I'll use a laptop.
The last thing we had discussed was not just the fact that you weren't going to be able to do it, but also the time difference. And also you didn't know how the Wi-Fi would be. And so I was looking for a little bit more than just like, oh, we're just going to do the podcast.
So here's why I was so cagey with the information. I'll give you the behind the scenes. Here's what happened on my end is I'm in Ireland with my parents. Get to the airport with my parents, Terminal C, lovely. And one of them, I forget who, was like, oh, what are you going to do about the podcast? And they had been assuming I was going to do it in Ireland. And I was like, oh, Bailey's just going to either get Brian to fill in or solo it or whatever. Cause there's just too many variables. And my dad, being the techno genius that he is, was like, well, that's nonsense. You'll be able to do it in Ireland. And I'm like, well, how? And he's like, I'll figure it out. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yes, you're going to do the podcast in Ireland. And I was like, okay. So, and I just trusted him. So that was when you told me how. The truth was I didn't really have the answer yet.
Okay. That makes sense.
So that was part of it. But my dad did figure it out, we think.
Yeah.
We're getting it done.
That makes sense. Well, we've talked a lot about like doing this podcast. I've done it from Alabama. We've done it obviously on our trips. Like we've done it in different places. Now we can add Ireland to the list.
Yes.
Yeah. Cruise ships. We can add Ireland to the list. So
today,
I don't know
that George O'Leary and UCF had toured in 2014 when they came for the Ireland game. So I was following in their footsteps. Fun. Hopefully not like with, hopefully this trip doesn't end the same way that one did.
I don't know if it could, honestly.
There's always a way.
I don't know if you're going to lose a football game while you're there, but you could.
I will say our cab driver on the way in was familiar with some of the football lore of Ireland. I did not know there was an NFL game here. It was Steelers and someone else that he was telling us about. But yeah.
I don't want to talk about football right now. I don't know.
Cool.
It's not going well.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
So a couple things we missed from UCF Houston. I don't think there's too much really to get to here and don't want to linger on it too much. Although we do have a few things to hit on, and then I think there's a question we got from Brian that maybe this would be the good spot for you to answer it. No? Okay. All right, let's not. Tweet a leak.
Yep.
We didn't talk about that at all, obviously. We mentioned it on Saturday morning's podcast, but the crowd and atmosphere for that game was, I think, the best that UCF's ever had for a space game.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so stressed about the loss, because the space game has been, because it's still a relatively young tradition. I mean, this was year 9 of doing it. And obviously year 1 it kind of came out of nowhere, and it was just the helmet. Then it took another year for it to be like, oh, this is a uniform. Then it took year 3 to be like, oh, wait, they're doing this every year with a cool uniform. Every year the atmosphere has gotten better. Like the atmosphere has been, the game has been a bigger deal. People have embraced the theme more, and that has increased year by year. And this, it sucks that this is the loss, because this in a lot of ways felt like the final form and culmination of that. And a lot of that is on UCF. The production of this game was freaking phenomenal. Like they leaned into space in so many cool, fun, unexpected ways, from those stupid robots that I hate doing a show between quarters to did we even talk about on the postgame podcast, the blue fire? They had blue fire for the run out. I felt like my brain, buddy, I was barely paying attention to the game. I just kept thinking about, like, they would be like, Taven Jackson threw a pick. That's crazy. And I'm like, how did they make blue fire? Still don't know the answer. If some sort of scientist or UCF employee can tell me, I'd love to know the answer.
Listen, when I was at the basketball game, I was talking to Trace Trilko, and he mentioned, unprompted, the blue fire. So
yes,
you weren't the only one impressed by it. So
136 collegiate football teams playing at the highest level of the sport, I'm willing to bet only one of them had blue fire at their games this year. And on top of that, just the crowd was incredible. It was the most energetic crowd of this season, and honestly all of last season, except for the big noon game. I didn't see one bit of gold, honestly. It was just nothing but like black and Canaveral blue everywhere. The crowd was just so into the game. I mean, I'm hopeful. It seems like it's become such a thing that I think it can withstand a loss. And honestly, they were obviously eventually going to lose the space game. You can't have a tradition that's dependent on winning every single year. So I'm hopeful that will continue next year, because it's so freaking cool and it's so freaking unique. And I don't think that we've given UCF enough credit for the work they've put in this, and the fan base for the way they've embraced it. But it's very cool to me for a program that is so young, like didn't even have an on-campus stadium 20 years ago, wasn't even playing FBS football 30 years ago, to have what has literally become one of the coolest and becoming a very well-known tradition in college football, and it being such a forward-looking, cool, unusual thing. I hope they don't lose that at all. I hope that crowd is just like that last year. And I kind of feel next year, and I kind of feel like it's going to be. It feels like it's just, I think now that we're into like 2+ generations of students who have done this, it's just kind of become that thing you do of like, oh, you have to go to the space game. It's the space game. So I think it'll survive.
I think it has. And I mentioned this, and obviously it's 9 years is nothing compared to some of the other traditions in college football. But I mentioned this to Trace on Saturday too, because we were talking for most of the basketball game, because it wasn't a fun basketball game to watch. It just has become that kind of thing. Like you said, it's like Penn State has their whiteout. Every once in a while, and it's not even really comparable at this point, but LSU has like a gold game where like everybody decked out in gold. Like it has become UCF's like one home game a year that is going. It's like it's bigger than a homecoming. It's bigger than everything else. And what would help, and I don't know that it's possible, of course, but it would help if it could be at night every year, because that did play.
That's a good point.
Huge role in the. It was the first one since 2021, right? Or no, 2022, the Thursday night game. But
23 and 24 have been like, it's been night by the third quarter, late third quarter, fourth quarter. But yeah, it was like a true night kickoff game.
It didn't pour down rain throughout this game, because that happened both in 23 and 24. But no, I mean, I said it after the game, and on Saturday I posted one of the pictures that I took, and I was just saying the atmosphere deserved a better result. And then I don't know if you saw this right before we got on here. I'm sure you probably seen it by now. It took me a while to find, for whatever reason. I was busy with football, NFL stuff yesterday, but the edit they put together of the atmosphere, it was like a minute long, had like a John Summit song playing over it. And I watched that like 10 minutes ago, and I was like, man, this really felt huge, and it felt like this deserved better. And it's sad that it ended in a loss, but no, I mean, it was so much fun. Like I even, once I kind of got over the game a little bit, I was starting to think about it. I was just like, what a cool thing it is. And I love it.
It's so cool, man. It's so unique. And I think that what's also cool is I've overcome in the last couple of days the shell shock of actually seeing them lose a space game. And I'm just like, if they win next year, if the stat is they've won 9 out of their 10 space games, I feel like that pretty much has the same impact at that point. I don't think it's going to be like nationally some dramatic difference. So yeah, I've come to terms with
a lot of pressure
that.
though.
Lose next year and it's the apocalypse. Like the idea that Scott Frost can't win a space game would be like one of the worst. Let's not even go there. Doesn't matter. We have a year. No, right. Bigger problems. Bigger fish to fry. Don't worry about it.
Bigger fish
space
to fry.
Game next year. Proud to announce that the opponent will be Georgia State. Excited for UCF to do an early September space game.
It would be a night game because it'll be on ESPN Plus probably. So.
Let me ask you a hypothetical question. How many space games in a row do they have to lose before they pull that? Like be like Bethune-Cookman is the space game.
I think logistically they just can't, right?
They probably can't, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think
they're going to have to find a way.
they might if they keep losing them. But yeah,
I did not
bigger
appreciate
worries.
To the 2 Houston fans who have Twitter accounts being like, this should be an annual game. It's like, you want to be an annual game? You go do your own goddamn thing. That is nothing. Like, get out of here. Stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, UCF does have a couple of bigger things to worry about, including the fact that they just don't have a quarterback and haven't for several years now. I was looking at I was just looking because we were talking about this the other day. I think you and I where it's just another year where four different quarterbacks haven't gotten starts, but 4 different quarterbacks have gotten meaningful snaps. And
8 quarterbacks have had meaningful snaps in the last 2 seasons.
Yes.
Totally normal.
There's this little list I've got right here that I wrote down going back because 2021 obviously had Dylan Gabriel and then he got hurt and then came Mikey Keene. So 2 quarterbacks that year. 2022 they got the new guy and then Mikey came in for an injury and then eventually Tommy got some meaningful snaps I think later in that year in the Tulane game. And then, that aforementioned new guy from 2022 started 2023. Then Timmy McClain had to come in for injury. And then, like you mentioned, 4 last year, 4 this year. It is so hard to win a lot of football games when your quarterback situation looks like that. Yeah. And everybody knows that. It's not not an obvious or it isn't obvious. It's not just like an outlandish thing where it's like, oh, wow, it took a lot of thought to put this in. But just it sucks that that's where UCF is. And hopefully they figure out a way to get something figured out for 2026 because can't do this again. Because they've done it again this year, and it sucks.
Yeah, I think what makes it extra crazy for UCF fans has been the about face, because from 2014 to 2020, what is that, 7 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
They had, 5 quarterbacks playing meaningful snaps in a 7-season span? Like, think about that compared to where it is now. Like, the quarterback stability, and I'm not even going back to, Bortles. Like, from Godfrey to Bortles to Holman to Milton to Gabriel, there was, this... We were spoiled. Like that was an unprecedented era of having a lot of quarterback stability. Now, the thing is, it has swung back in the complete other direction. And I do think that everyone's seeing this a bit more just because college football is different now. The portal has really destabilized quarterback rooms. It is very unusual to have that room look anything like what it looked like the year before when you go to year. But UCF's just been kind of snake bit last year by incompetent coaching and this year by injuries to the point that they've just had to use a billion quarterbacks. I mean, like I said, I don't know if you're Scott Frost. And he talked about in his access today how, as we suspected, because a lot of people were like, oh, so Dobby's better than Jakari. No, Jakari's still, hurt, which, didn't appear on the availability report, but it seems like we've all agreed to just not take those seriously in college football. So I'm not really faulting UCF for that. The On3 had a story recently about how just no one's following the rules of that. But yeah, they started the year with 3 guys in contention for the job. Only one of those guys is currently healthy. And I'm going to put healthy in quotes because I think we all understand he probably isn't. He's playing terribly. I don't know what, and not to transition into Texas Tech preview because we have more to talk about and things we missed. But I think my number one reason to just, if you're a UCF fan, I think it's okay to not even watch this game is, I don't know. What are your options? Taven Jackson, who can't play, or Dobby Belfort, who really probably shouldn't be out there. And you're going to go on the road to a team that is planning on a deep playoff run this year and has been annihilating everyone they play in conference. It's great.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do it. And the a little peek behind the personal curtain here. I've got some fun plans on Saturday. My mom's birthday is this weekend, so we're going to do a little birthday breakfast for her. She's going to come over, and yes, I'm an early Christmas decorator, so she's going to help me decorate my place for Christmas. And it's going to be a great morning, and I'm sure, the evening and night will be good. But there's just that pocket of time where I'm going to have to sit down and watch UCF play against a top 10 team on the road where they can't win. And then I'm going to have to do a podcast about it afterwards. And I'm dreading it. It is the most I've dreaded one in a while. And that's saying something considering what last year was.
Let me tell you, by the way, quick tangent. Cool thing about Ireland. Well, there's a lot of cool things about Ireland, but they don't do Thanksgiving here because the Pilgrims and the Native Americans do not apply to Ireland. And so everything's decked out in Christmas already. There's just giant Christmas decorations and trees everywhere. And I think that we could all take a page out of Ireland's book and accept that Thanksgiving is a dumb waste of space holiday that really just needs to get out of the way so Christmas can do its thing. We should all be having 2 months of Christmas. Be more like Ireland.
You and Disney and Universal and all the other theme parks are on the same page because November 1st, those places got all decked out in Christmas.
Unique sentence right there. I do also... on that topic, you know me, Bailey, and you as the listeners, if you've been here for any amount of time, you know that I'm kind of like a purist when it comes to watching UCF football games. And I have snobby, low opinions of those who do not watch some games or stop watching games early. Like, I watch every snap that happens. I'll get after you because you don't want to drive 2.5 hours to watch Sam Houston or something. Like, that's my brain and the way it's wired. I don't blame anybody who doesn't watch this game. I really, in fact, I might even encourage you to not. I really don't. I can't fault anyone who does not want to watch this just absolute bloodbath. I mean, I really don't think, I've been on Twitter. I don't think you guys get what's coming. Like, it's going to be so bad. But yeah.
If I see the sentence, what if, a sentence regarding this game that starts with what if, I'm going to scream.
Nope.
No, it sucks. It sucks that we have to do this. Sorry. We're still on things we missed. I forgot.
Yes.
Last thing, I think we talked about him, but I just wanted to shout him out again. Noé Ruelas. He has been, for an offense that has largely stunk this season, Noé Ruelas has been a weapon. Like, he hit a 54-yard field goal on Friday night, and he is easily the best kicker UCF has had since Dylan Barnes, and he's in the territory of probably surpassing Barnes, I think, and being up there among. I mean, that, like, actually even still, like, Matthew Wright was solid, consistent, good. I don't think he had the leg that Noé Ruelas had.
No.
So he has just been impressive, and that's a nice positive to have. But I mean, unfortunately, that along with this defense are being wasted on a team that otherwise doesn't have a lot of talent on offense, and it's not really going to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like praise that comes a little too late, just because, you know, bowl game's almost certainly off the table at this point. They would have to beat Oklahoma State, which even with the injuries, I still think they will do. And then they'd have to go win at BYU, which feels like a pretty much an impossibility. Obviously, they're not going to win this weekend, but it's too bad that the team hasn't been that good this year, because I think he won't have been tested in a way to establish it, but like probably the best UCF kicker of the last 20 years. I think he's better than Matt Wright. But again, it's just the type of season where he was never really given the spotlight or the stakes to establish that. So we'll just never know for sure. But I really, really think he might be up there.
So he is a senior, so he's done, right?
Yeah, he's gone. He's not coming back next year.
That's brutal.
Redshirt season. Yeah, they're going to have to. Good portal get. That was cool.
Yeah, good job.
Made some scores look slightly less embarrassing. So that's you know, he was the only reason that space game even came down to the wire. So he's done his job. It's just, you know, team is what it is at this point.
Yeah. Anything else from Houston / space?
Yeah, I'm still really sad, but I'm fighting through it.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. This next section, normally we say, we're going to do the preview, and we do all this stuff and talk about the opposition's offense and UCF's offense and the defenses and all that stuff. We can do some of that if you want. I don't have a lot for it. I do have a fact you may not know.
Really quickly before your fact you may not know, not to get behind the scenes, but I'm currently in a hotel room in Ireland because it's late here, because it's 5 p.m. your time, so it's like 10:30 over here. My dad just very quietly got the room service menu, which has me confused because we just ate at a restaurant like an hour ago and all had appetizers, entrees, and he got a dessert. So I don't know what I'm just something to monitor in the background in case you hear a light knock on the door and a tray rambling, and that's going to be what that is. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Hit me with the fact.
That is.
I may not.
Well, okay, yeah. So UCF 4-5, 1-5 in the Big 12. At number 8, Texas Tech 9-1, 6-1 in the Big 12. Saturday at 3:30 on Fox.
Can't wait.
Facts you may not know. Excuse me, I have to cough. We have
missed the mute by a second there, buddy. We got like the first second of the cough.
Great. I couldn't hold it. We have we did this first dispute, so this is fun. Texas Tech's band, formerly known as the Matador Band and now known as the Goin' Band from Raiderland, which I love, is believed by some to be the first college band to travel for an away game. Excuse me. Doing so in 1926 for a game against TCU. So cool. That's cool, right? The Penn band from UPenn is believed by others who seemingly are right that they did it first because they did it in 1901 for a game against Harvard. So I don't know why there's still why Texas Tech is like, there's still this thing where it's like Texas Tech is also believed to be the first. It's like, how?
This doesn't seem
25 years earlier.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like the homecoming thing. I don't know what hairs you could split here. This seems pretty.
I don't either. But
this seems pretty
thing,
straight up.
I guess.
Well, did Penn bring the band, or did some plucky students bring instruments?
I had to look further into it, but from what I read, Penn, I don't know.
I'm confused on what the claim could be for Texas Tech.
So it says the Penn Band, one of the first collegiate marching bands in the country, began modestly in 1897 with just 27 volunteer musicians. Blah blah blah. Cornerstone, school spirit.
Aren't they technically all volunteer musicians? We're not paying the band.
The Penn Band is also believed to be the first college band to travel to an away football game. That happened in 1901 when it traveled for Penn's game at Harvard. So, yeah, I'm going to give this one to Penn. There is some cool stuff around the Texas Tech one. Does the name Will Rogers mean anything to you?
No.
All right, well, it didn't really to me either, and I felt bad about it because, like, once I saw his face, I was like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. He's a vaudeville actor. Way a long time ago, obviously, he was a vaudeville actor, but he's known.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm not up to date with the vaudeville actors. Yeah, I feel bad too.
He's like a huge deal apparently.
I don't care. What? Okay,
he aided in financing the trip for the Texas Tech band to the TCU game and helped purchase new uniforms. Somewhere I read that he gave them $200, which I'm guessing
back then that was real. That was some real money right there.
Huge, but yeah, he's like a big figure. He has a statue on campus for stuff that he didn't go there. And I don't know. I was reading about it, and like another weird thing that I found while I was doing this research was Amon G. Carter was a huge part of Texas Tech's founding. That's the guy that the TCU Stadium is named after. So I don't know. It's weird because the reason he was really good friends with this Will Rogers guy. And the reason that statue is on campus, Amon G. Carter donated it to Texas Tech. He thought it would be a good place for this statue where he's riding a horse.
TCU having an old campus in Waco and their stadium being named after a Texas Tech guy makes me feel like they're just not a real school, but that's their business and not mine.
But I don't think he was just a Texas Tech. It was weird because like he was a big donor. Like he was a big donor for TCU. So the Texas Tech aspect of him being a part of it feels more random to me.
That's the next step of NIL, and it's what I'd do if I unexpectedly became a billionaire. I wouldn't invest in one school. I would just be like, we really want all the teams in California to be good. So I'm just going to give money to all the California schools. Well, let's bring back California football.
That is the thing I think that ties in where it does make a little more sense. Is Amon G. Carter was just like this big Texas figure where like, he was just, I think he was the one who was what's the big paper, the Dallas Telegram or something like that. He was the guy who founded that. So
Dallas Morning News?
No, I don't think that's what it was called, was it? I don't know. I shouldn't say things that I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway,
UCF Texas
shout
Tech.
out to Texas Tech for their main fact or their fact we may not know being them just lying about something. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I could have also made it just like a little bit more mean spirited and been like, they had Patrick Mahomes and never did anything remotely noteworthy with him.
Yeah, but UCF had RJ Harvey and never did anything remotely worthy with it. So I don't know if we want to start throwing around accusations.
all right, yeah. Well, I don't want you to put me. I don't want you to put me in a position where I have to say bad things, not bad things, but compare RJ Harvey and Patrick Mahomes. I don't. No,
because then I'll get the perfect SEO headline for YouTube ever. We'll just RJ Harvey versus Patrick Mahomes. Who's better?
Yeah, we got to do the thumbnail for it too. All right. Well, what do you make of this game?
Yeah, UCF's going to lose. So if you're not let's just treat this as and for those of you who follow college football, congrats, welcome. For those of you who don't, let's set the scene for you. The sun rises on a desolate, barren, broken down, rusted out town known as Lubbock in the panhandle of Texas. There hasn't been electricity for decades. People travel by wagon. The only entertainment is when the little, what are they called? The little thingies that come out of the ground, the prairie dogs. That's like they don't even do like baseball games. They just watch the prairie dogs pop up and cheer. Desolate place. No reason to ever discuss this. They do have a small football team that you may have heard of, Texas Tech. The good news is that there's nothing worth talking about. They are never good. They have a strong tradition of going 5-7 to 7-5 every single season, and that is it. Then one day, a man named Cody Campbell, who has many billions of dollars from, I think, some sort of energy company, decides that Texas Tech should be the new Alabama. And because the rules of college football, when he decided this, had just changed dramatically to allow for the paying of players, really with no limitations whatsoever, our friend Cody was able to overnight turn Texas Tech into one of the best teams in the country and a team that is planning on a deep playoff run and possibly even contending for a national championship, who just hosted College Game Day and kicked the absolute crap out of a top 10 BYU team, who is winning every Big 12 game they've played by an average score of 35-13. The one loss coming on the road at Arizona State by 4 points. They have beaten Utah, who is also contending for a playoff spot, 34-10. They've done a good job on both fronts. They have recruited very well out of high school, better than the rest of the Big 12, and grown some guys that way. They've also purchased a defense via the portal and took all of the best defensive players in the country who were available. They beat out SEC schools. Lee Hunter, who you may remember from UCF, went ahead and said, no, thank you. I will go get paid at Lubbock. Props to him. And then there's also UCF, another program you may have heard of, who's very similar, except for the fact that they have no money. So, yeah, that's Saturday.
We'll see you Saturday. No, we can't get out of here yet. But, it's just if UCF was healthier than they are coming to this game, they would still get absolutely ran off the field.
Yes, that is correct. They are not in the same venture or world as this Texas Tech team. But what makes it fun is that we don't even have to pretend on this podcast there's a chance, because Miles Montgomery, well, again, we don't have confirmation on these injuries. I don't think Frost today gave any confirmation on any of them, but the assumption is that Miles Montgomery is not going to play. Tavion Swinton, Stacey Gage are also hurt. So Jade Nixon is the last scholarship running back on the roster who's healthy. If he gets hurt, I genuinely don't know what they do. Jakari Brown, obviously, Cam Fancher, obviously, you're down to Taven and Davi, neither of whom are a very good option. The big ones are Nigel Kelly and Malachi Lawrence are both probably going to miss the game, on top of Sincere Edwards. So the D line, which has been like the heart of this team, is now missing. It's four top guys, or four of its top guys. I don't know what situation you could spin in your head to think that UCF is going to be competitive in this game.
The only thing you can say is college football. That's the only thing, but it's not solid ground to stand on. I'm not saying it is, and I'm not sure. I'm purely saying that is the only way to explain any other result than UCF losing this game by 30 plus.
If Texas Tech had been like if this were BYU, you could talk me into that. I could say, yeah, you got a good point. BYU is a really good team, but you never know. Texas Tech has just been steamrolling everybody. And the only team they've lost to has been Arizona State. And it was a weird kind of fluky game. And Arizona State's also really solid. And they've kind of been taken down by injuries since, so their record's kind of misleading. Like, Texas Tech just beats the hell out of everybody they play. I just don't. I know that some of you are going to be mad because there are certain people who, I still don't know why you guys continue to listen to the show and you just get angry when we say anything that is not sunshine and rainbows about UCF. But I mean, I really don't. I know some of you are going to get mad when you hear me say it, but there's no earthly reality that exists in the infinite multiverse where UCF wins this game. It's just not worth talking about as an option. It's really just kind of this really bad road bump they have to get through before they can go get Oklahoma State at home and hopefully win that game to try. At least if you win Oklahoma State, which they will, I think, at least, even though it's probably impossible, you still get to go on the road to BYU knowing if you win, you go to a bowl. So that's what you're playing for at this point.
This is another thing that I mentioned to Trace on Saturday was the fact that this is how it's going to play out. They'll lose this game. They'll be 4-6. And then, yes, they'll probably beat Oklahoma State at home. And then we'll have to trick ourselves into thinking, well, hey, what if they go to pro? Like, what if they do it? They could go pull off the upset and then get a bowl game and go get clinch bowl eligibility on the final week of the season. Like, it could happen. What if they do it? So that's just kind of like, I'm already pre-annoyed that that's kind of the situation that we're most likely going to be in. And this game has nothing to do with that situation. So it's just like this game's game,
just that thing.
Yeah, you just have to sit and watch it. And then I guess I'm having a hard time even wanting to like preview this game with you. And then I'm thinking about like, what are Brian and I going to talk about this game like after on the post game podcast? Like, how are you going to break this down? I don't know,
but I'm excited to watch it live and see what you guys come up with. Like I said, I tried. I really did try to think of a way. Like every game UCF's played, even since they joined the Big 12, like I've always been like, well, what's the way they can win? And the issue with this one is the one thing I don't expect to happen because of the injuries, but I can see happening is UCF's defense has been really solid. They've played some really good offenses and they've held them. And honestly, the pressure that Nigel Leak and Malachi bring have been a huge part of that. We don't know for sure they're out, but neither of those injuries look good. Nigel Leak in particular being in a boot, and he has NFL aspirations. It would not surprise me if we've seen his last snap as a Knight. But I still can see the defense, especially with, the secondary's been playing very well. They still got solid linebackers. Like, I could see the defense holding Texas Tech to a little bit below its normal output. Like, wouldn't blow my mind if the final score hits and it's like Texas Tech scored 31 points or maybe even 28 points. Where you lose me is the defense. And when all the headlines about all the money Texas Tech spent to get this roster together, believed to be $25 to $28 million, one of the most expensive rosters in college football, more than Alabama spent on theirs, more than Georgia spent on theirs, one of the top, most highest paid rosters. Where they invested the majority of that money was the defense. They literally basically went and hit up the portal and landed almost every major defensive player who was available. Some who weren't available, who they were able to get in touch with. Funny how that works. I don't really care because everybody does these days. But
yeah.
And the defense is so dominant. Guys like David Bailey, who has 15 TFLs and 11.5 sacks this season, which is just nuts to me. I really, as he should be. That's insane.
Yeah.
You tie this college football all-star defense that has shut down everybody it's played. You put that up against this UCF offense that is just limping to the frickin' finish line here. Is just not. I mean, beyond injuries, even when it was at its peak, it just wasn't a very good offense. And now injuries have taken their toll and the wear of the season has taken their toll. And honestly, that was something we didn't talk enough about earlier in the season. When the offense was struggling early, I think we got a little too optimistic and we're like, oh, well, they have time to put it together. That's rarely the way it works. When you have a unit that's bad to start and the attrition kicks in and the worn down kicks in, because the other thing that people don't understand about college football and football in general is I feel like some fans just treat it as like there's two modes you can be in. There are guys who are healthy and there are guys who are hurt. The season is such a grind. No one who plays every game is anywhere near 100% by the end of the season. And so when you were starting with a bad offense, it was just going to decline. And that's kind of what we've seen. I don't understand what could possibly occur where this offense is able to put up points on this Texas Tech defense. I mean, I literally can't put together what would occur. You think this offensive line is going to have a good time with Lee Hunter?
Nope.
I don't know.
I was shaking my head already listening to Paul Rubelt today talk about like, oh, how fun it's going to be going up against Lee Hunter. Obviously, they'd have their battles in practice and stuff, and I was just like, this is, I don't know, it's not fun for me to think about. I don't know how he's got to keep his spirits about him, but this whole offensive line is walking into just probably one of the worst days they'll ever have, and they've had some pretty bad days. So it sucks.
I really do.
I don't know.
They're going to go out there. The offensive line in particular is going to have to spend 3 hours just getting put in the ground. And that's going to suck. Like they're literally just going to get shoved to the ground. Like it's unbelievable how bad it's going to be for them on every single freaking play. So yeah, I can't think of I'm having a hard time finding a comparable matchup like this for UCF, even in especially in recent years. Like they went on the road in their first year in Big 12 and played at number 6 Oklahoma and ended up coming a 2-point conversion away from forcing overtime. But that Oklahoma team, I don't think was as good as this Texas Tech team, and that UCF team. And obviously now we know is way better than the one that they have on the field this year. So, well, that's the point. And it's a point that I don't remember if we made it. I know we've talked about it. I don't remember if we made it on our last podcast or not, but one way to give credit to Frost is that this is obviously the worst roster they've had in the Big 12 by a fairly notable margin. I think 2024 was the best roster. Then 2023 was a bit below. This is way below. And that's no fault of Frost. He was given a team that needed to find a way to bring in 50 plus guys to be competitive. And he was brought in after signing day. Like what are you supposed to do? I mean, he did the best he could. And we're in a situation where they're probably, assuming they beat Oklahoma State, they're going to win more games than they did last year. And they're going to do it on a harder schedule. This was a harder schedule than last year. So genuinely, and these players to a degree genuinely deserve a lot of credit for that. But you're right that it's just, this is one of those games towards the end of the season where the talent discrepancy is just so significant. We would be disingenuous as podcast hosts if we sat here and tried to explain to UCF was going to win this game. It's just a waste of everybody's time. I mean, it just is what it is.
So you make a good point there, though. Like if they do go and beat Oklahoma State, even if they don't pull off them the following week a miracle at BYU and clinch bowl eligibility, this is a team that would finish, one game better than a year ago. They'd finish 5-2 at home, And you're looking at like, all right, most of the problems obviously is that they just can't win on the road. But we said it before the season started, even before we saw how bad this offense is going to be. We thought it wasn't going to be great. I think it's worse than we thought. We looked at the road schedule and said, out of all those road games, like the only one you think you might win is Cincinnati. And then Cincinnati ended up being good this year. So,
yeah. And UCF was still in that game till the end.
Yeah. This road slate was an insane one and is an insane one. And now you're getting to like, it's already been tough and you're getting to the two toughest road games of the whole thing. So yeah, and again, we talked a million times now about how nothing that really happens this year is going to really impact our thoughts on this era and what this era can be. We talked a little bit about this, I think, on Saturday, just how far we're getting far removed from the last time UCF was good and yes. fun and an enjoyable team to watch. And so it puts pressure on 2026. And we talked about it on Saturday with the whole, the comments that Terry Mahajer made last week and what they're kind of doing to our expectations for next year. And, it's getting to be a point where there's going to be so much pressure. And I'm already worried. I'm already worried about 2026, and we've still got 3 games to watch this year.
Yeah, and I do want to reiterate that because I want to be clear that some of the stuff I said and we said on that podcast was not just, post-game emotions or whatever. It was the next morning anyway. Nothing that's happened on the field this year has moved me or upset me. Like I said, I think it's been largely impressive. I've been impressed by how many hits they made in the portal, given the roster they put together. I've been impressed by Alex Grinch, and I've been impressed by just the team in general and the fact that they've been a lot more competitive than a lot of people thought they were going to be nationally. And just for a year zero where they had to slap the roster together, they've done pretty freaking well. Nothing has bothered me on the field. I was fine until I know I don't want to overblow one comment, but it's also just like it's building on what we've kind of seen as the direction they're going. That Mahajer comment just rubbed me the wrong way for so many reasons. And I just, if you don't remember what we're talking about, he spoke to media before the Baylor game and he said that why should we go after high school guys when they have no experience, when we can just go find some G5 guy with experience and pay him the same money or less money. If I thought UCF could moneyball this, or there was a way to moneyball this in college football in general, I'd be all for it. The issue is that strategy he just laid out is being done by other programs that have a lot more money than UCF. My take, I know that building through high school is not easy, and it's gotten a lot harder than it used to be, but my take, and I am going to be hammering this all off season, and I hope you guys get it because there's really no argument around it, is if that's the strategy, if the strategy is we're going to go pretty light on high school and only go after high school guys that we really, really, really feel good about, and we're going to mainly lean on the portal and build the roster through the portal every year, there is absolutely positively no justification for them not to be competitive next year. Because if this were high school recruiting, if this was the old days where we're going to go get 25 high school guys and we're going to get guys we like and we're going to find undervalued guys and under-recruited guys, your Richie Grants, your Gabe Davises, your Otis Andersons, whoever, then I would say, okay, there's a plan and you're going to build up to that. These guys are going to be true freshmen next year. So then they have to wait till they're sophomores and juniors to really see their potential of those guys. Mm-hmm. No. If you're just hitting up the portal and you're getting guys with experience, G5 guys who played 2-3 years and redshirt seniors and Power 4 guys and all that, then there is absolutely positively no possible justification this administration can provide for why this team should not be competitive in the Big 12 next year. I'm not saying win the conference. I understand that would be an insane thing to ask for, and UCF is so not there yet, and they need a quarterback. They need to figure out a quarterback before they can do that. But if they do that and come out next year and go 6-6 or 5-7, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what this program is doing at that point.
That's what I'd be curious to know what all has gone into this new way of thinking or new approach that they want to take. If it has been something that, okay, we've seen what has gone on over the last few years, and he cited some examples and all that, from the previous regime and all that, but it feels a little bit like, and I don't know how much this year at all plays into it, but it feels to me a little bit, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, after 2023, UCF goes to a bowl, largely what we thought they should do in their first year. And then Gus decides to fire everyone and transform the staff and think, no, we can't win 6 games again. I got to make all these changes. Like this year, as you just said, like they've been pretty competitive in a lot of these games, and they are probably going to end up coming, one of those results flipped away from a bowl game. And I'm not saying that should be the standard, but given the situation that UCF was in heading into this season, I would feel like staying the course and figuring things out. Giving up on high school just feels crazy. And I know it's kind of where college football has been going, but like you said, these other programs that are largely doing that have a lot of money. UCF, as they will remind you, almost weekly, they don't have a lot of money. So it's just,
and that's where I'm getting
like
confused because I'm not seeing what you said is spot on. I'm just not seeing that from the other team. Like UCF is not the only Power 4 team that doesn't have a ton of money. I'm not seeing those programs just give up on high school. I mean, I'm looking at, we talk about the number of commits. I'm just going to give you the commit numbers that every Big 12 school has right now. Like, I want to be clear that this is like not normal what UCF is doing. Texas Tech has 20 high school commits. BYU has 19. Baylor and Houston have 17. TCU has 19. Arizona State has 18. Arizona has 21. West Virginia has 28. Utah has 16. West Virginia is an interesting one since they're the closest to UCF in the situation. Utah and Kansas both have 16. Iowa State has 19. I'm sorry, Kansas has 19 as well. Apologies. Cincinnati has 20. Kansas State has 16. Then there's these three programs who are the outliers. Colorado, UCF, and Oklahoma State. Colorado and UCF both have 12. Dion is not a high school guy. That's the whole time he's been there. That's been every class, is he does not do anything high school related. So UCF and Colorado both have 12. Oklahoma State, who has no coach, has 8. That's the company UCF's keeping. Like, this is not normal what they're doing.
Listen, 12,
it's actually,
I thought it was fewer than 12, so I'm feeling a little bit better right now.
So, and I know that number will creep up as, we get closer to the signing day, but it will, like, they're not going to sign anywhere near a 25 kid high school class, which that's gone away anyway. A lot of schools have come closer to 20 or even a little bit lower to go more heavy in the portal, but they are operating so differently than a lot of these other programs, and maybe they think that's an advantage. But and listen, the way this works in my brain, like if my job was I'm now on the UCF payroll and I have to sell you on Terry Mahadra and Scott Frost's vision, is what I would say is, they've accepted that they don't want to spend money on high school guys because they don't have a lot of money. And what they're going to do is they're going to take advantage of the fact that Frost, in his history as a college football coach and with the staff he assembles, are typically very good evaluators and are really good at finding unproven guys. They showed that through 1 year in the portal, finding a lot of guys who were able to contribute right away. Even stories like them being in on Trinidad Chambliss before anybody. Mm-hmm. So they're going to save all the money for the portal, and they're going to go hit up the portal and find undervalued guys that way and build their teams that way. That would be the story I would sell you. Now, my problem with that is that, A, that will never work year to year. It's just an impossibility. It's not even remotely sustainable. And the second thing is, while they're good at evaluating talent in the portal, I think they showed they can do that. There are a lot of other programs that are too. And you can build out certain positions that way. You can hit on a linebacker that some guys missed on, like Cole Kozlowski. You can find a good running back. You can't build a roster that way. You just can't. There is not a Power 4 winning roster of guys no one has discovered out there. It's just not a thing. You're going to have to outbid some teams. And maybe that's what they think they're going to do. But every single position you leave up to the portal is another variable of uncertainty you're adding to your team. And we've seen that in schools that have tried this. We've seen that in Colorado, who just went from 9-4 and contending for a Big 12 title to their 3-7 now. We saw it in Florida State, who went from 13-0 to 2-10. It's just, and if you get a good year out of it, maybe that's worth it. Maybe that's what the UCF strategy is. We just try this every year. We roll the dice, and maybe it works out enough that once every 3-4 years we have a team that's pretty solid. But I don't know if that's enough. I'm just not really seeing the vision from that as a strategy. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting offseason. I'm really, really curious how the portal goes for them because it's going to be pretty. The one thing you can't do is have that strategy and come back and it's what I said earlier. Like missing on the portal guys are just coming back and being like, you cannot accept from this administration next year the take of we're coming down the stretch and they're 5-4, 4-5 again, and they're like, well, it's only year 2. No. You're not building anything. So that's not going to work as a take.
You can also see this administration just going, well, you see all these other ones, all these other programs out there spending all this money. It's like, hey, you just did that too, remember? And they're going to be like, oh, no. We didn't spend as much as Texas Tech. And I don't know. Not only do I not. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay. I don't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
No worries.
I'm so sorry, Bailey. Please forgive me, and I hope we stay friends. The other take that I feel like UCF fans need to get is there is a myth out there that college football right now is all the rich teams that are spending money are winning all the games, and all the poor teams are losing. It's not what's happening. Go look at the college football top 25. Go look at programs in the Big 12. There are plenty of programs that are not the richest in college football who have found ways to be successful. There are plenty of programs in college football who have a bunch of money who are blowing it in stupid ways and are bad at football. We can't just rely on, because UCF is I don't know, I'm making up a number. You can't pull out a spreadsheet and go, UCF is 55th in budget, and that's a made up number in the Power 4. So that means they will have the 55th best roster every year, and that's what they will do. That's not how this is working. You cannot buy into that myth.
Yeah. No, and you said you don't really see the vision. Not only do I not see it, but what I do see of it scares me. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, like let's see if that works. Like what they're pitching and trying to throw at us right now, it does terrify me, because I don't know. I have a hard time knowing what we know about UCF and their situation. I don't know where all this money is going to come from. I don't understand it. It came out of nowhere. They're like, oh yeah, we have all this money we're going to spend now. It's like, since when? Why didn't you do this before then?
I mean, I think the idea for them is, well, we're not blowing it on high school, because I know under Gus that was the whole thing, and I totally get that. I just think this has been way too much of a boomerang in the other direction. Under Gus, UCF had so much dead money because they invested all this money to get these blue chip guys out of high school. I mean, that didn't just happen. Like, UCF was spending money to get those guys. Then they get in here and either not be good enough or not be ready to play. One of the funny things that happened was Gus would spend all that money, then go recruit over those guys in the portal. And I think Mahadra, I'm just being anecdotal at this point. Like, it's just what it seems like from the outside. But it seems like Mahadra saw that and said, that went terrible. Let's not do that anymore. But it's always got to be a middle ground. And I want to be clear that I'm not saying this is flat out not going to work. I'm not saying that I'm expecting UCF to do this and come out with a 5-7 team next year. I'm just saying if they do this and they are that next year, and they're not 8-4 or something like that, then at that point I really just don't know what we're doing. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it might work for a year. It really might. And at that point, like, if they do that, like, they go invest in the portal the way they say they're going to, and they go let on high school and they go get all these guys, and next year UCF goes out there and is, I don't know, 8-4 overall, 6-3 in the Big 12. I'll say, okay, I get it. I can see how this will work. And now we'll do it again next offseason and hope we can build better and try to be a Big 12 title contender or get a quarterback or whatever. But if it doesn't, man.
Are we learning on this podcast that UCF has a regulation problem? Because we talked earlier about the quarterback situation and how, they went from one extreme of they've got, one guy per year and they've got these like multi-year quarterbacks and they're really stable, to the complete opposite direction. And they're on the complete opposite end with 1 million quarterbacks over 3 years, versus what we just said, where under Gus, they were doing one thing. And then instead of kind of going back to the middle, they went completely the other direction. It's like, they don't have the capacity to, and then obviously the quarterback thing is just kind of a joke because you can't really control that all the time, but it just feels weird. Like they're just, no, we got to do this. It even goes back to the Gus thing that I just said, where after 6-6 or 6-7, he fires everyone and is like, no, we can't. Like, it was, some changes would have been okay, probably fine, but they went the complete opposite, like of opposite direction. And we're like, we need to change everything. Yeah. It's like, there has to be some kind of middle ground. I don't think UCF doesn't seem like they're capable of finding it.
What makes it extra funny is how, like, one of the main sayings of sports is like, don't get too high or too low. And it seems like that's just what UCF does every chance they can get.
Let's do both
with this stuff. High school recruiting didn't work. No more high schoolers. Portal players only. And I know that's an exaggeration. There are a lot of high school guys. There are some high school guys I really like that they're bringing in. I'm just skeptical some of them are going to be here. I've told you guys all offseason. If Kane Archer signs in a few weeks, I've been muzzled. Like, I'm not saying a word. I'm thrilled that they get Kane Archer because I think he can really be that guy. I'm just ever so skeptical that he is still going to be here because of the Arkansas situation. But what's hurt UCF a lot is, like, we can talk about all the building out through the portal and all that stuff. It's just quarterback, spoiler alert, guys, it's always been kind of important in the NFL and even more so in college football. It feels to me, and you tell me if you feel the same way, it feels like in the portal era, in the NIL era, having a very good quarterback has become even more critical to success than it used to be. And I don't know if it's just because no one has backups anymore, or just because there's so much less consistency on the roster. So it's hard. Like, I think it might just be, you don't have the situations anymore. Like, you used to have teams that had like okay quarterbacks, but you had like an offensive seniors who've been playing together for 3 years and they just like really understood each other and were a really fluid offense that functioned well. And now that everyone's more of like the mercenary angle and kind of comes from all over, having that really high level quarterback it just feels like it's more important than ever. And like, you look at the AP top 25, the CFP top 25, all the good teams, college football teams that have the good quarterbacks right now. And that's just something UCF's got to solve, because it's not like they're not quite there. It's that they haven't even been close to being able to land a quarterback who really is competitive on this roster in a couple of years now.
Yeah, and I know this maybe is kind of going a little off topic, but like if on that same token, like if you look at the teams that came into this year expecting to be among the top contenders, that they're going to be playoff teams, they might win the national championship, but have now turned into the season's biggest disappointments. It is your Penn States, your Clemsons, your LSUs, whose great quarterbacks have turned out to not be that great, and they're struggling largely because they don't have the quarterback that they thought they had. And I know Penn
really,
State,
really good
Aller got hurt, but even still, they were losing games with Aller.
Those are three guys who were like the Heisman favorites. Like Nussmeier and Klubnik were like trading odds in the offseason. DJ Lagway. That was another one. Florida was going to be great because DJ Lagway's going to be awesome. It's like it's kind of lame because I don't love the idea of the sport moving towards a point where like a team ceiling boils down to a single position, but that kind of does feel like where we're heading. So, and UCF's in an unideal spot because that's why I hope Kane Archer works out, because when you see the quarterbacks, when you see non-super like uber wealthy teams with good quarterbacks, they're always high school guys. They're guys that the team recruited and built up. And like, if UCF, I mean, if they want to be the school that just gets a quarterback mercenary, that's fine. I'm skeptical that they can invest at a level to do that. I think if it's a truly good quarterback, I think there's always going to be someone who can outspend UCF on them. Or in order to land them, you're going to have to make like serious concessions at other important positions. Yeah. But that's why I'm kind of so obsessed with getting Kane Archer. And like the one thing that takes this all away, my whole like they have to be 8-4 next year, we have to see a path forward, is like unless they start a true freshman Kane Archer and we see flashes, I'll take another year if that's what they're doing. But I don't know.
It's just, I don't know. We talk about this and we'll get to our whatever these score predictions are going to be in a second and then kind of get out of here. But the thing, it kind of sinks in, you know, it's been sinking in like regularly over the last, I guess, few days or so. But the thing we talked about before, I think I mentioned it on here, where from the time that UCF made its first bowl game to now, they had never gone back-to-back years without a bowl. And they're about to do that for the first time. And so, next year, and we were talking a lot about next year, but, you know, again, if Kane Archer is the starter, I'm with you. You can't be like, all right, well, they got to put this roster together and then start a true freshman quarterback and win 8 or 9 games. They can, whatever, having another meh year, if they're building towards something, it's fine. I still just want to see them get to a bowl next year. Like, I can't go 3 years without a bowl. And,
this is three straight losing seasons. That's brutal. Like, that's awful. Yeah,
so it is the reality of where UCF is right now is sad and scary because you know, obviously it was a big move to the Big 12 and we were excited about it, but just now that we're facing the reality of it, it has gotten tough to handle, and the path forward doesn't seem super bright right now. And hopefully hopefully we get a flashlight on and we see a bright path forward, but right now I don't, and it's scary. So score prediction for Saturday:
38-7 Texas Tech.
All right. Well, I had Texas Tech 41-7. So
all right, we're right there. You think this offense scores multiple times? You just tell me how. No way, Ruelas from 60. I don't know.
might have to try it. All right. Well, we'll move on. Football news, a little bit of it. UCF Oklahoma State next Saturday will kick off at 4:00 on ESPN Plus. And for the longest time, that was just the most obvious ESPN Plus game ever. Didn't think it was going to be at 4:00. Thought it was going to be a night kick, but
UCF is ruining my life. I don't get to watch any college football that day. So shout out to that kick time.
4:00. Philip Dunham, he won Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week honors. Of course he did. He had 3 picks, including a pick 6 in a losing effort. I can't believe that is never happening again. I don't think. But yeah, no.
This felt like the ultimate Willie Fritz revenge from when he came here with Tulane in 2016 and UCF scored like 3 times off. The UCF's defense scored 21 points in that game, if I remember right. It's like his ultimate revenge. They still had all the turnovers, but he won anyway.
So annoying. It was very, very annoying. Game of the week, UCF women's soccer. They have made the NCAA tournament. They're 11-3-5, 5-1-5 in the Big 12. They will be hosting an opening round game for the first time since 2017. Maine comes in this weekend. As before the podcast, before we started recording, time hadn't been released yet. But this weekend they will be playing the first round against Maine. Maine is 6-7-4, 3-3-2 in America East Conference. They did win their conference tournament for the 3rd straight year, which I just find so funny that 3 years in a row they've managed to win that tournament, including this year when they largely were not very good. So they're hot right now, and it'll be a big game for UCF. Obviously, winner will face, I believe it's Elon and the 2nd seed Duke in the region. So big game. Excited about the season they have put together and getting back to the tournament because that was nice. Do you have an apology for him, or are you still taking the stance that you willed this into happening by talking about Tiffany Roberts, the Haydack needing to go?
Yeah, I think I motivated them. I think there was probably a photo of my face in the locker room with darts on it. It was all part of my strategy to help get women's soccer back to where they need to be. So just, I guess, more than an apology, I'd say you're welcome.
Hashtag thanks, Christian.
Hashtag, let's get started. Hashtag thanks, Christian. Let's have that under every UCF women's soccer post, unless they lose. Unless they lose, then it's
then you were right.
Thanks to Haydack. If they win, it's hashtag thanks, Christian.
Yeah. All right. Tweet of the week.
Tweet of the week. Tweet of the week this week is not a bad tweet. It is a question. This is a fairly self-serving tweet of the week. This is a question from Brian Peterson, who just filled in for me and will be doing so once again for that lovely Texas Tech post game. Make sure you guys tune in for that one. Brian says, I have a question for the Pegasus podcast this week. And then he has the raised hand emoji, which is good.
Yes, you, Brian.
Which is good. Okay, Brian. Yes. Now that UCF has finally lost a space game, and everyone will by now, by association, hate the 2025 space unis, if Christian could retroactively make any other space game a loss instead, so that folks hated that year's space uniform and not 2025's, which would he choose? And he also says, I can't choose 2017 since that wasn't a full jersey. I do just have to say that Ethan at eman0007 immediately replied, if there was one space game you need to toss in the fire, it was this year's. So it's already started. Fans are they lost in this one, so uniform bad. Thought about this one, thought about a couple ways I could go here. If I could transfer the space game loss to another game, I would do it to Houston in 2019 for a couple reasons. One, at least Houston still gets to keep the win, and that one would have mattered a little less because that season didn't really have anything going for it anyway. Another reason is that is, while the helmet is something everybody loves, that remains, as far as jersey and pants, my least favorite of all the space games. It's just never really connected with me. I feel like I understand the meaning behind it, but like the big black and red USA on the pants to mimic the Apollo rocket, that just never just feel like it came out of nowhere for me. Like the jersey was all white and with blue, Canaveral blue trim and everything on it. It just didn't work for me very well. Also, I'm just convinced that anything could happen in that game and UCF fans would still fawn over the moon helmet. So it feels like we just cancel out the effect of the loss. So yeah, there we go.
Brian told me this on, I believe it was still right when I got into town on Friday, like midday. He was like, I have a question that I'm going to ask on the post-game pod, assuming UCF loses. So this has been a question that has been on his mind since before the game even happened.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm glad he's finally got his answer. Because I told him, I was like, I don't really know if I have an answer, because my first thought immediately put my brain in a place where I didn't want it to be. Because my first thought was 2021, because I don't think 2021 is not my favorite of the uniforms.
Hey, careful.
But I don't want to give Mikey a loss in the space game. So
that's I think, a bad take from you.
That's
a rare bad take from you.
An opinion-based take.
It's one of those things where it's like opinion to a degree, you know? Like
I don't know, actually. Explain. Keep going.
Bad take. I don't know. Like people always say that. Like sometimes people just say like obviously stupid thing. I'm not saying that was stupid. Like people say like obviously stupid things and then be like, well, that's my opinion. And it's like, you can't hide behind it being your opinion. It's still a stupid thing to think. And I feel like space game uniform opinions are on that spectrum a little bit. Like there are objectively bad opinions involving uniforms.
Interesting. I don't know. That's it.
Bailey hates the space shuttle program. The happiest day of his life is when they shut it down.
No.
He clapped, guys. He said, thank God.
No, I never clap. Yeah, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to go on about my week and hopefully try not to think about what's going to happen on Saturday. Christian's going to go back to, he's still in Ireland, but he's going to go back to enjoying Ireland. And hopefully you don't think too much about this Saturday's game or UCF at all, because I would like for you to have a good time.
It's a possibility.
But yeah, enjoy the rest of your Ireland trip. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Brian Peterson and I will be back, for better or for worse, on Saturday evening with our post-game podcast, episode 304. Until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us, and we will talk to you on Saturday.
Bye, everybody.